All right, welcome back to the roast. Do not forget, Sunday, the debut of the Red and Gold pregame show with Larry Krueger and Lorenzo Neal. 9 a.m. pregame show presented by Harris Ranch Beef, legendary quality Jim Beam bourbon whiskey. Taste the world's #1 bourbon. And don't forget to download the Odyssey app, 95.7 The Game. Thousands of other stations and millions of podcasts are free on the Odyssey app. Sports talk, music, news, and podcasts are all available completely free on the Odyssey app. And we are giving away a Kirby gift card at 7:30. Kirby gift card. We're giving away at 7:30. The mobile fixer-upper, right? You get a nail in the tire like Langford did the other night. You know what? Kirby will come right to you. Take that nail out the tire. Need an oil change? It'll come to your home and change your oil. Kirby, changing the game.
I'm going to do an oil change next week, and I'm going to report back on how it goes.
Please do.
I might even take some videos for you.
Can I get a gift card? Can I get No, you got the plug,
Oil
man.
50. Oil 50, that's the code.
All right.
Plug it in, get some money back.
All right, let's go to Chi-Town, man. Let's go. Or do they call it Chi-Town? Is Chi-Town like San Fran?
The Windy City.
We don't like San Fran. I don't think Chicago folks like the Windy City. I don't think they like Chi-Town. Anyway, host of the Dan Bernstein Show at our sister station in Chicago, 670 The Score. Been there since 1995. It is Dan Bernstein here on the Morning Roast with Joe Shasky, the Butcher, and Bonte Hill. And Dan, good morning. Is it Chi-Town? Is it the Windy City? I don't know. My girl lived there for a year. I still haven't figured it out.
Yeah, I don't think I've referred to it as either one of those things, but we don't let any of it bother us, so feel free.
All right, cool. We let San Fran bother us all the time, but we don't need to get into that, Dan. The Bears and the Niners, week 1. Nice little history between these two teams. What is the perception from Bears fans of Trey Lance and the quarterback situation in San Francisco?
Well, I think the Bears can look at this as an opportunity to be the first disruption in what appears to be an untenably built situation. I can't imagine that Trey Lance feels that it's a huge vote of confidence to have this guy under contract and just standing right behind him when he's been the guy, he's friends with the veteran players, and it's all too easy for them to look at any underperformance or anything shaky from the young player and say, well, let's go with something that we know a little bit better. I think the Bears need to be opportunistic and say, hey, let's cause that level of concern. Whether they can do it or not, I don't know.
Do you think the 49ers made the right choice? I mean, you saw Justin Fields for an entire year. There's been a lot of talk nationally about Mac Jones and Trey Lance, but there were a lot of people, myself included, that were very intrigued with Justin Fields coming out and would have had no problem with the Niners taking Justin Fields at 3. After you've seen a year of Justin Fields, and obviously we haven't seen Trey Lance, do you think the Niners missed on the evaluation of Justin Fields?
We don't know. We don't know anything really about Justin Fields, and after seeing what he was asked to do last year by an offensive coaching staff that was busy chasing the X's and O's in their own heads rather than trying to game plan around the strengths of their quarterback, everything's reset. I think we're working with a blank slate and a new day here where we've reset our evaluation of Justin Fields back to the factory defaults, because last year was such a mess, it was unfair to so many people involved.
So you look at Matt Eberflus, the first-year coach coming from Indianapolis, a defensive-minded guy. Is that who Bear fans wanted as head coach? Because it feels like you guys have always been about defense, run the football, but the quarterback spot, the wide receiver spot outside of Brandon Marshall, it feels like you guys just can't figure that out. So what's the reception of Matt Eberflus so far in Chicago?
Well, there's a couple questions in there. If you say, is that who Chicago fans wanted? Nobody's ever heard of him. I mean, you can't want a guy who you didn't know when he walked in the room. Nobody could have said who he was.
That's a good point.
So the issue is that it's an offensive league. We can talk all we want about Dick Butkus and Bill Gorge, but it's an offensive league. You got to score points, and the Bears have never had a quarterback. Their wide receiving records are still all owned by Johnny Morris, and if they can score points and Matt Eberflus happens to be the guy in charge of everything as it goes on, it doesn't matter what side of the ball was his specialty at one point or another.
So who should I be worried about on the Bears then? Because quite frankly, we all do fantasy drafts, and there ain't nobody I want on
Darnell
the Bills.
Mooney. You don't want Darnell Mooney?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
When you do fantasy, the first rule of fantasy football: never take any Bears.
Well, Allen Robinson was good for me for a couple
David
years.
Montgomery had some years.
Yeah.
Matt Forte wasn't bad.
So, who's the threat?
Allen Robinson was good until he stopped trying.
Yeah.
They will. It's always wait and see. This team is the Bears' skill position talent is hilariously awful right now. They are probably the worst wide receiver core in the league. I think the running backs are solid, but they're running backs. You can sneeze and find 5 different running backs that can be capable in the league. This is going to be a real chore for their offense to put Fields in a position for big chunks of yards. I don't think you have to be scared of anybody, frankly, until proven otherwise.
Dan Bernstein, host of the Dan Bernstein Show at our sister station in Chicago, 670 to score. Dan, when you look at this game Sunday against the Niners, Nick Bosa is going to be coming off that edge. We saw the Rams last night. Just their offensive line looked porous. Matt Stafford got battered. Justin Fields, you speak of him and his receiving core being one of the worst in the league. What's this offensive line going to do on Sunday, and how do they look? Because, you get a franchise quarterback in Justin Fields, it feels like you guys are not building around him already in year number 2, and that should be the focal point. Let's protect our franchise asset.
The line's going to struggle. You're starting 2 rookies. The left tackle is a 5th-round pick from a 1-11 team, and he's a prospect, and he's a developmental prospect, but he's forced into action as an NFL starter. They're going to give him help, and I think it's one of the problems that they're going to have all year is moving running back help and tight end help to Braxton Jones' side, especially in a matchup against a guy like Bosa, is going to take guys out of patterns and take away some of those downfield factors just because you're trying to not get the quarterback killed. There will be a lot of boot action, a lot of waggle action, and plenty of opportunities to get Fields out on the move where he's been most effective, especially running to his right. You'll see him try that reverse pivot that he does to get to his left sometimes, and he's going to have every trick in the bag to keep himself safe, as well as understanding how quickly the ball's going to have to leave his hand. It's going to be a chore.
Is Justin Fields scorned by Shanahan not selecting him and selecting Trey Lance instead of him?
I don't think so. I don't think that's really what motivates Justin Fields. He seems to be pretty solidly competitive on his own merits and not needing to chase invented demons in his head. I expect that his motivation to win comes from his motivation to win and not to prove anybody wrong.
So, Dan, my buddy Bonte here is going to fly out there. There's a lot of people from the Bay Area. It is a San Francisco invasion, if you will. They're going to go to Cubs, and then Cubs-Giants, and then they're going to go to the Bears-Niners game. What's the weather going to be like out there? Because I've seen a lot of weather watching. When you see a little bit of rain, us Bay Area folk, we
like rain out here.
We get ready for our beautiful coats to come popping out there. So does Bonte need to wear a coat on Sunday?
Yeah, the forecast keeps deteriorating. It looks like it's going to be a pretty ugly day on Sunday, particularly. And remember, the Soldier Field just was resodded.
Yeah, with Bermuda, correct? Because this is a golf thing. I know all about the turf.
Bermuda grass.
They put in Bermuda grass. It's going to go dormant come December.
Well, they have a heating system in there, and they said that they already turned on the heaters, which they usually don't do until after Thanksgiving with the Kentucky bluegrass that they had. And the funny thing is, it was Matt Eberflus himself who actually wanted the Bermuda grass. He wanted the tighter carpet with the faster track for a speed-based defense. But I'm not a gambler, but if you are, there could be some opportunity in the variance that is afforded by a pretty ugly weather day Sunday.
So wear a jacket, get a hoodie, have the jacket ready to go.
And where does he need to go for Chicago beef?
Oh, I know where to go.
Where are you going to go?
Well, let me hear from Dad first, because my girl did live out there for a year, but I want to hear from Dad.
Well, it's hard to go wrong, but I'm an Al's guy. I've always been an Al's beef guy, especially the one on Taylor Street. But I find that the Al's au jus is a little more garlicky and a little more oreganated, and there's something in there that the other places don't quite replicate. So what you got to do, no matter where you go, it's both hot and sweet pepper and fully dipped, not just extra on the side. You have to begin. It's not an Italian beef sandwich until you begin to actually lose bread integrity.
There you go.
The bread itself should cease being bread. Then you're getting there.
Yeah, also Harold's chicken. I love me some fried chicken. I love me some Harold's out there. And a deep dish. Is deep dish overrated in your opinion?
It's fine. It's fine. It's not. I don't know. I mean, I prefer New York pizza, even though I'm a lifelong Chicagoan. The good news is that the pizza scene in this city is so spectacular right now that you can get from New Haven style to Sicilian style to Detroit, all from independently owned artisanal pizza makers here. You don't have to follow what you see on the bumper shots on network television during games.
Well, we can't wait for Sunday. Bears and Niners, week number 1. Trey Lance, our new toy out here, going up against Justin Fields, who had one of his finer games against the Niners last season. Ran the ball really well, 103 yards in that game where the Bears lost 36-22. Dan, you're the man. Thanks so much for the time today.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, guys. My pleasure.